Hi, welcome back, my dear students. All right, I'm glad that you're here again. And that's really, really, really good for me because that means that you're enjoying the class and that makes a world of difference. But, anyways, on this lecture here, I'm going to show you the most common used properties for CSS. There are so many that unfortunately I cannot cover all of them in this course. Since this is not a really pure CSS course, this is a HTML course and CSS, and I wanted to show you the basic syntax of HTML and CSS and give you some introduction into them, right? This is not a pure HTML or pure CSS course. Now, let me show you the most common used properties, and that's super useful because you're going to be using many of them, and with time you will learn them by heart. So I'm going to type here CSS properties, actually common properties. All right, and I think the number one right here, developer.mozilla.org. This is the people that make Firefox. All right, these are the ones that make that Firefox browser right here, as you can see here. All right, they're really good. So if you click on it, all right, and you go to this page right here, you're gonna see the most common used properties for CSS, right? And we're gonna explore a couple of them right now. But as you can see right here, we got the background here, all right? We have borders, background repeat, background position. There are many different ones, and you might be wondering in your head right now, wow, I don't have time to use all these properties. Well, you don't really use all of them at the same time, all right? And let me just show you a quick example here on what we can do. So let's go ahead and go to the blank.html there, and let's do a save as. Let's call this property, actually popular CSS. And I'm not going to be naming this popular underscore CSS properties, just popular CSS. All right, so now let's use a division here. So let's use a div, and let's put a UL list in there. UL. All right, there we go. With some list items. Alright, let's do a copy and paste here a couple times. There we go. Alright, and let's also put a paragraph in here, and this is a paragraph. There we go. What else can we put in here? We can put a heading here, right? So we can put something like one. This is a heading. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and play around with this a little bit. All right, so let's go to style.css. Actually, that blank.html, let's go ahead and link that before we do that. So let's go to, I think, external.html, and let's get that link, copy it, go back into, and you see popular.css. Let's make sure that we are linked to that CSS there. All right, perfect. There we go. We don't need that anymore. Actually, we do need it. We need to go back to CSS. So we need this style.css. And you saw how I do it. I put my mouse over until I see the little arrows there, so I can drag that. All right. So let's play around with this a little bit. Let's go to popular. All right, all right. Let's go to popular underscore CSS.html, and we have a div here with an h1 ul. We don't have to put IDs on here because we don't have any other elements. All right, so I'm just gonna use tags for this. So let's play around with these properties right here, right? So let's go ahead and first play around with the div element, and let's use some of these properties here for the div. So what do we want to use? Let's use border. How about that? All right, so border color, we can use that. Let's use just border, and let's type it in here. Let's just paste it, colon, and let's just say border 1 pixel solid black, and just gonna make a black line around that div, and I'll show you right now. You see that? Let's refresh. You see that now? All right, that's the div element right now. It's wrapping everything around. That's what the div element is, like a container. All right, so let's also play around. Let's go back to it. And what else can we do? Let's do a background on this div, right? Background, colon, and let's just set the background to what? Blue. There we go. Let's go back to it, refresh. Actually, I don't have to refresh, but I'm used to it. So this background is blue now, right? We can change the border to something like maybe red. There we go. And we can even make it thicker than that. So 4. Oops. Sorry about that, guys. Look at that. All right. So ID style.css. All right. Let's be there on style.css. What else can we do to it? Let's go back and let's go to the CSS properties. What else can we do here? Let's make the color of everything inside the div a different color. All right. Let's make the text colon. Let's make it white. Let's see if that changes something, because there we go. So we made all this text white, right? Of course, the heading is not going to do it. We could if we wanted to. We can target it right here, but we're not going to bother with it. All right. What else can we do? All right. List type. Let's go ahead and list style type. This list style type is going to actually style this type right here of this list. Right now the type of this list is on order, right? So well, let's just, this is gonna style this bullet. I got confused with this bullet points. It's on order list. That's the term that I use. All right, so inside this div I have an UL, and I'm going to style it right now by using the list style type colon. Let's put none, and look what that's going to do. It's going to make that disappear. Now you can research this list style type values that you can put in there by just going to Google and searching all the properties like I showed you earlier. CSS properties. Actually, I don't know if I did show you that, but go to the reference here and you can, let's minimize this a little bit. All right. And you can do a search. What I do usually when I'm looking at stuff that I have a lot of information, I go to the browser and I go find, and I type in here the keyword that I want to find. So in this case, it's list style, right? And we can see it right here. All right. So if we click on it, we get some information, right? So it says right now that we can even style that bullet that you saw there with an image, and we can put whatever image we want in there. All right, if we go down a little bit, it will tell us all the things that it could do. All right, so let's go back to it. And there's a couple things that you can do to it, to that property. All right, the type here, right here, we can also use other things with it. All right, so let's try this real quick. Right here. All right, so this has a class of square, but I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this right there and copy it, take that off, and just paste it right over this one here, or actually under it. I want to show you something before we go on. So let's go back and let's see how that looks. You see now it's a square bullet there. Now what happened here is, the reason why this is called CSS or cascading style sheets is because if you put a rule here, in this case we are making the bulleted none, meaning that we're going to take it off, and then when you put another style under it, the style under it is going to apply instead of the style above. So it's going to cascade, the styles cascade with one another. So if I keep putting different styles here in the bottom of that one, it's going to take the last one again. You see that? So the styles are going to cascade, and this is a good point that I wanted to actually let you know that I was forgetting. So make sure that here, all right, you don't have something that will override, because sometimes what we do is, by mistake, is that we apply a style here to a specific element, and later on we override it without knowing what in the world we did up here. So make sure that you keep track of the elements that you are styling in your page. That's why it's good to always put IDs on the elements that you are styling. IDs and classes. All right, that way you can keep track of those elements, because you can override them super easy if you put another uh, class down here, if you put something else, some other styles. All right, so keep that in mind. I'm gonna leave this the way it is, that way you can keep it in your exercise files, but keep that in mind. Now there is other things that we can do with it. I mean, there's so much information here. We can make it invisible by putting the visibility to none. The width of that div, we can change it. And we can, let me just go back here and show you. Let's change the width of that div, and let's make that div maybe 100 pixels or something. All right, and come back, and you can see the div change its width. All right, there are so many things to do that it would be almost impossible to go over each of these items there without making a 300 lecture course. All right, we can flow this element to the right. All right, right here, colon right, and refresh. Actually, right here, let me just make sure that this is, there we go. And now you can see that we floated to the right. So again, if you want some more information about each of these tags, what they do, these properties, go to a property list page that would give you some information. You can click on it and will give you a example on how it's done. All right, so any of this will give you border radius. I think I saw it here. I want to show you. All right, this is a really cool one because I'll show you right now. It will give you nice borders around. All right, so I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna take that width out of there, and I'm gonna make that width 100%. That's another way of making it expand across. You see that? Now we made the corners rounded with that radius, and we made this div go 100%. We can make it go 50%. That's 50% of this page. All right, we can put some margins around it, and you see my co-editor is already helping me with this. All right, so if I say margin and I press tab, it will write something for me. This co-editor will do that. So let's put margin, and then we're gonna, if I use my key in my keyboard, all right, my keys, then we can go margin right, or let's just do some margin right actually. There we go, tab. I don't know why it's not doing it, but it should do it. If it doesn't do it, just write it down. Don't be lazy, right? Let's put some margin on this, and let's make it 200 pixels. That's gonna be crazy. Refresh. All right, and margin right, 200 pixels. We're missing the px. Right now, what this did is that it gave this a lot of space. Let's make it 20 pixels so that way you can see what it's actually doing. Let's put it right there. Let's make this a little smaller so that way you can see it. Right now, let's go ahead and make it 40. So the margin is actually space right here, and that's margin right. If we wanted to give margin to all this around it on all four corners, we just write the word margin. All right, padding is used for the inside of it, 20 pixels, and you can see I gave it some padding, and what it did, it just gave us some space inside. That's the padding. And if, of course, we got padding right, padding left, padding top and bottom, right, to where whatever you want space inside this div or inside the element, you can target that specific space. All right, so I think we're done with showing you. I'm trying to show you as much as I can here. All right, and remember, this is not a CSS course. That's why I'm giving you the address of this page. All right, but anyway, thank you so much for watching this lecture, and hopefully this is able to guide you in the right direction to using some of these elements. And it doesn't take a math genius to actually have this going, right? As you can see, it's super easy. HTML and CSS is super easy. And if you have any problems, don't hesitate. Call me. Actually, message me. I don't have my phone number in there, but message me. Let me know in the lecture. If you want, you can private message me in the course, and I can tell you, no question is stupid. All right, everything is right. When I was first learning, I didn't even know anything. So it was really hard for me, even though it was super easy for other people. So You know, so if I say it doesn't take a math genius, I don't really mean it in a an offensive way. I'm just saying that it's not as hard as we think it is. All right, but of course, as we learn it, it might be a little hard when we first start. So, but anyway, thank you so much for watching this lecture. I hope you got a lot of information, and I hope you're not overwhelmed. And all I can tell you is to practice, practice, practice all this every single day, playing around with it. And once you play around with it, I believe me, you're going to get comfortable doing this. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you, and see you in the next lecture.